And we are live.
Very green day.
It's
Green day.
Green Day. It's- and welcome back to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast, your weekly episodes for everything on movies, TV, music, and video games, not necessarily in that order. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us. This is June the 17th, 2023. It is episode 388 miles per hour. And yeah, it's here. We're here. It's almost summer. We're like a week away from the official start of the season. Things are warming up here in Southern California, finally, after being so gray and muggy.
Oh, yeah, June 24th. I think that's next week.
Yeah, it's next week. Yeah, it's wild. It's happening.
The summer solstice.
Summer solstice, if you will. And we got a summary show.
Or as Ari Aster calls it, midsummer.
Midsummer. Hopefully it's not anything like Midsommar. But yeah, welcome to
Florence Pugh.
But Florence Pugh. I'm always asking this. I'm always asking this.
Now, does your butt have a comma in there?
No.
Okay.
All right. Let's get started. Let's get rolling, and we always start with
the music section. We start the music section with the Billboard. We start the Billboard with the Hot 100.
Some mixed up stuff this week. Finally, some stuff happened.
Yeah, but what's still mixed up is that number one is Last Night by Morgan Wallen.
It's true.
Coming in at 2, Flowers by Miley Cyrus. At 3, Calm Down by Rima and Selena Gomez. But coming in at 4, Fast Car by Luke Combs.
I'm going to talk about this for a moment. So, Luke Combs. You know, we know Luke Combs.
Yes.
He's had singles here before, but this is a new low. This is a cover of the Tracy Chapman classic Fast Car. And get this, the Luke Combs cover now has more streams total lifetime than the original Tracy Chapman classic, which I think is disgusting. I'm very mad about this. Anyways.
It's number 4 on the rounding at your top 5. All My Life by Lil Durk featuring J. Cole.
Yeah, this is just disappointing. I don't know. That's just disappointing to me. I'm sorry.
What, with Luke Combs having Fast Car? You know that Luke Combs gets like direct to people. I don't think Tracy Chapman gets direct to people anymore, especially in stream counts.
Messed up.
You just wish people knew their history. Anyways, as for your albums chart, Billboard 200, at number 1, 5 stars.
Wow, you're reviewing this record and it hasn't even come out?
Well, it's called 5-star, the third album by Stray Kids.
Ambitious of them to be like, hey, we're putting out a 5-star record.
Well, it's their third album. They got to be 5 stars at this point. That means at number 2, One More Time.
Wow, you butchered that title, but I don't care. You don't need to correct yourself.
At 3, Whitsit Chapel by Jelly Roll.
I love a Jelly Roll. They're delicious.
But do you like this Jelly Roll?
I have no idea who this Jelly Roll is.
I want to say he's the country version of Post Malone.
Weird. Okay.
All right. The whole little like Post Malone get up and look, but country.
Face tattoos and all?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
That's Jelly Roll.
I don't know anything about Jelly Roll. It just sounds delicious.
But not healthy. Or maybe, I don't know, if it's like the only thing you eat for the day, I think that counts for your 2,000 calories.
Speaking of unhealthy.
Speaking of unhealthy, at number 4, Dark Blood.
Yeah, if you have Dark Blood, you should probably go get that checked out.
By Enhypen.
Enhypen. It's a good name.
And right at your top 5, Midnights by Taylor Swift.
Hanging in there.
If you didn't like any of those albums, or if you didn't like Jelly Rolls, we have new releases, including Melodies on Hiatus by Albert Hammond Jr.
Yes.
Central City by Big Freedia.
I don't know if it's Freedia or Frida. I'm not sure.
Well, I thought it was DIA. It's not DA. It's Frida would be Frieda.
I've heard both. I don't know.
All right. We also have 3D Country by Geese.
Yeah, a bunch of geese recorded that record.
Yep. Or you just get a bunch of gooses together.
Yeah,
Top
that's
Gun.
literally what I'm saying.
Yes.
Oh, from Top Gun.
Yes.
The character Goose.
Yes. We also have mystical, magical, rhythmical, radical, ride by Jason Mraz.
Yes,
That Jason Mraz. Chemistry by Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah,
yes,
Kelly
daytime
Clarkson.
talk show host Kelly Clarkson.
I'm curious about this. This seems like she's trying to make a bit of a comeback here. So maybe try that out.
There's also Feed the Beast by Kim Petras.
Yes, her I believe proper debut after a series of singles and collaborations.
Supernatural Thing by M. Ward. And lastly, Every Day Like the Last by Y. Oak.
I feel it. I feel that.
All right. So let's get into the music news. And there's so much music news that we had to compile it all into the bits.
Yeah, a lot of headlines. Not a whole lot to talk about individually about these, but they are all, I felt, important enough to mention.
And we're going to start with the Recording Academy because...
Yeah, a couple of Grammys.
A couple of Grammy announcements.
Yeah.
Where the top 4 awards, meaning Best Album, Best Song, Record of the Year, and Best New Artist, are getting a bit of a shift in terms of nominations, where they're going from 10 down to 8. So they're not going up, they're going down.
Yeah, this is weird considering I feel like, was this new last year or 2 years ago? I forget the timeline, but this was relatively recent that they expand these categories to 10. It was not, it used to be smaller, and then they expanded out to 10, and I guess now that they're like, that was too many, back to down to 8.
Well, I think New Artist has always been small, it's supposed to be like 6 or 8.
But I do remember
for everything else, album, song, record, I usually like, here's the top, typically like a top 10 of the year.
So obviously, since these, like these next Grammys will be the first one that will be affected by this, and we'll see. But ultimately, I do remember seeing the last nomination show and being like, this seems like a lot of names.
It is.
It is.
Well, maybe it's not because when they list them out, they also list all the producers.
Right.
And sometimes you have one album and a literal page of producers.
So I don't know. I'm mixed about this. I like having more options and like having it as big, expansive category. Moving that down by 2 is probably not a whole lot of a difference. It still feels like they're big enough to cover the year in music. Just I don't know. It's a mixed feeling.
Well, at least they're not doing what the Oscars do, which is we'll have 8 to 10.
Yeah, we'll say we have a maximum of 10, but we never reach it, kind of thing. Yeah, that's worse. You're right.
All right, but that wasn't the only news, as the Recording Academy also added 3 new categories for the 66th Annual Grammy Awards.
Why not?
And they include Best African Music Performance, Best Alternative Jazz Album, and Best Pop Dance Recording.
Surprised pop dance recording wasn't already a category, but now it is.
Well, especially in the 2010s when it seems like every pop song was also a dance song.
Right, yeah, there was that moment. Hey, so someone wake Dua Lipa, she could win another Grammy. Anyway.
I mean, you can say, I'm the only person to have won this Grammy.
So far.
Well, that will happen this upcoming
Grammys.
Happen. So you have 3 people who say, I'm the only person to have won this one.
It's impressive.
I am unique until next year. Or until they get rid of the category.
Watch them just give one to Beyonce anyways, even though she doesn't have anything to nominate. Anyways, let's move on.
Anyways, outside of the Recording Academy, Paul McCartney was in the news because he used AI to, quote, purify John Lennon's voice on an upcoming record. Last Beatles record.
So one, before you say anything, yes, I know I told you there was a moratorium on AI stories. The reason why I included this one is because it's not really an AI story. Everyone is reporting this wrong. Even this headline is largely incorrect.
They're not using it at his voice in AI.
Right. It at least clarifies it.
Fix the voice.
I was really pissed when I saw all these headlines incorrectly report this. Yeah, you're exactly right. What the large conversation about AI and culture right now is about language learning models and things that take existing things and reconstruct them. This is not what that is not what this is. This is basically just a modern version of stuff they've been doing with music for a long ass time, which is just taking a recording and cleaning it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happening here. Everybody just wanted to jump on the AI story because that generates clicks, but it's not actually what's happening here. This could be interesting because obviously there's probably a lot of Beatles material that we've never heard because it was probably in various states of like unlistenable.
I mean, you can even watch the Get Back documentary and look at how unlistenable some of that was.
So it was probably very similar to the stuff that Peter Jackson worked on with that project, which is taking stuff that previously was unreleased because it was indecipherable, and making it be able to understood. And you know what? That's always going to be an event when there's a new Beatles thing. And so this could be cool.
I'll take it one step further, that this isn't just helping to restore John Lennon's voice, but it's helping to restore lost medium of old records, that they can take it, put it through an AI algorithm, and pop out a cleaner version of older songs or previously lost medium.
I mean, yes, could that be potentially used as just a cash grab? Absolutely, and it will be. But in this specific instance, it's kind of exciting as well. So we'll see.
Speaking of both being a cash grab and exciting in this instance.
Isn't everything, honestly, that we talk about.
Yes. Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah, she's back.
Yes, and she's announced a new song, Vampire.
Yes. It seems like this is probably the first salvo in an upcoming album release. This is out the 30th, the single, so very soon we'll hear.
2 weeks. We got 2 weeks.
2 weeks till we hear a new Olivia Rodrigo song. One real quick story that I thought was funny. I guess on the Instagram post. So the first, I guess I should explain, the image that accompanied this announcement was a black and white photo of Olivia in profile with a pink Band-Aid, like cross Band-Aid over where she's presumably got bit by a vampire. And one of the comments was none other than Taylor Lautner, who posted something about who bit you in character, I presume, which I just thought was wonderful. Taylor Lautner is being very good at the internet lately, because I think what people have figured out is he just seems like he's just a blast. I mean, it's already funny enough that he married somebody else named Taylor, and now that there are two Taylor Lautners, it's just hilarious.
They are the Taylors.
They are both Taylor Lautner.
They're the Taylor Lautners.
Except I believe she is Tay to differentiate, but still, it's very funny that they're both Taylor Lautner.
Until they have a kid, they call them
Taylor. It's also Taylor. It's a family of Taylors. Are you all? Hey, Taylor. Yes.
That's why the kid will be Taylor. She'll be Tay.
Yeah.
And they'll call him Mr. T.
There's a new reboot of the A-Team.
Yes.
Taylor Lautner. Do that. Somebody pick up our idea. Too bad the writers are strike. Anyway. So that's that story. I just wanted to tell that story.
But yeah, new Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah, exciting.
Yeah. It's been 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's been long enough.
Yeah. I mean, she went on tour, she did things. Yeah. So yeah, time for a new album.
Cool.
Moving on, speaking of things that are on tour or no longer on tour.
I included this one because I saw a lot of it and it was just a funny, weird story.
Yep. Anita Baker will no longer be touring with Babyface after accusing his fans of verbal abuse.
So here's the timeline of what happened. Anita Baker is touring with Babyface. Babyface is the opener for her set. I guess at one point she went on social media and complained that Babyface had gone long on his opening set, and so she had to show up later. Well, apparently, I don't know where these came from, but Babyface has a big fan base on social media somehow, and they went crazy on Anita Baker's social. So she got pissed and was basically like, I don't want to deal with these crazy people on the internet anymore, and made a statement about not wanting to deal with the crazy people on the internet anymore. And that made them even more mad. And so she decided that the solution to this was to drop Babyface from the tour.
I've seen this before. I watched this movie.
Yeah.
Popstar.
Yeah, it's a Popstar. It is basically about the plot of Popstar. You're right. I did not consider that, but you're 100% correct. Anyway. So, yeah.
It's just Popstar.
So yeah,
I've seen this thing before.
It seems like this would be a niche.
Art imitating life, imitating art, imitating life.
Oh, always. That is life now.
And this is your reminder to go watch Pop Star. Never Stop, Never Stop.
If you haven't seen it, I believe it's on HBO Max. Enjoy.
Yes.
Anyway, that's the end of that story. It's not really, it doesn't have any relevance really to anything now, but I just thought it was weird.
I think it's hilarious.
It's pretty funny.
Well, no, not the verbal abuse part.
Obviously, don't abuse people on the internet.
Yes.
Don't take advantage of the ease of doing this. Don't do that, especially not to like Anita Baker, who is a legend. Don't do that.
Don't go to Twitter and like voice your opinions on a black hole of a social media platform.
Also, Babyface? Like, I'm surprised that he's still around. Doesn't he make enough money producing stuff and like being like a media mogul? Does he really need to still be performing?
I think he wants the cheers.
I guess so. Babyface. Anyway,
speaking of Twitter, they were hit recently with a $250 million copyright infringement lawsuit from music publishers, which amounts to 0.01 of what Elon Musk bought Twitter for.
Well, yes. But to be fair, this is just another example of a string of examples that they have no idea what they're doing over there.
Mm-hmm.
Because I guess this stemmed from a bunch of music just being used willy-nilly on Twitter with no actual like rights being like
listed,
like paid for.
Yeah.
And no credits given. Basically, like they have a deal with companies like TikTok to make sure that there's some sort of structure. There's payment structure about when music is used. Twitter doesn't have that anymore. They may have in the past, but Elon Musk's Twitter has not had probably that shit in months. And it just proves that...
Probably not since they fired the legal team.
Exactly. If you fire people who are responsible making sure all of these ducks are in a row, you're going to get in trouble like this. So this is just another example of just everything being mishandled over there. So it's just weird story.
Speaking of things being mishandled.
Yes, and lastly,
Ticketmaster.
Yes.
Largely being mishandled, especially with their pricing. Well, after having been in front of a U.S. a jury of congressional people, Ticketmaster and others have agreed to reveal full ticket price up front as the White House slams surprise fees during that.
So as you mentioned, this has been something that that Congress has been talking about for a while. Obviously, it was spurred on by the White House's interest in the Taylor Swift situation with Ticketmaster. And this is one of the results of all of that pressure, is that Ticketmaster and, like it says, other similar ticketing services came out and said, okay, fine, we won't do hidden secret fees anymore. Up front, we will show you every single fee that you're going to cost. Here's the thing. While I appreciate that they're doing this, because it does solve one of the problems that was presented with Ticketmaster, it doesn't solve the biggest problem, which is that those fees exist in the first place and they're too damn expensive. So this feels like a non-fix. This feels like the thing that they could do and say to at least somehow change the conversation towards like the hearts and minds game. But it doesn't actually fix the problem. That's the biggest problem.
The fees are still there. They're just saying no more hidden fees, but we're still going to charge you $80 for a $40 ticket.
So ultimately, this is a good thing, but it's not the thing. This is not what we asked for. This is not what even Congress was complaining about. This is missing the point in a large way, even though it is, I guess, moving the needle a little bit. Incremental change is change, but still, it's like, I feel like they just completely missed what we were complaining about.
Progress and progression.
At least it's not a step backwards. I'll give them that.
Is it?
I mean, yes. I mean, I get what you're saying, but like...
Because before, like, it was like, here's the price. So it is a step backwards. Because we were going in the right direction before. So yes, it is a step backwards.
I don't know. It is frustrating, and hopefully more change is on the way, and this is not where it stops.
It's not where it stops.
Ticketmaster is probably hoping it's like, oh, well, we'll put this out, and people will be like, oh, cool, they made a change, and people will forget about it. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, and we keep on the case, because, this can't be it. Anyway. That's music.
Anyways, that's music. That's one of the bits. Yeah. All right. Did you listen to anything?
No.
Emphatic.
I'm so behind because again, podcasts happened this week because there was so much content coming out of the Summer Games Fest and other video game stuff that I was just listening to hours upon hours of that.
Well, let's get into that then with video games.
Yes.
But before we get to that,
Mhm.
sorry to jump the gun there.
I-
We have new releases.
We got to do that first. We always do.
Yep. Starting with Aliens: Dark Descent
Ooh.
for everything but the Switch.
Mhm.
Rogue Legacy 2 for the PS4 and PS5.
Finally, out of early access and now full release.
I want to say you can also get this if you're a PlayStation Extra member.
You might be. Yeah, I think it might be on there. I'm not sure.
There's also the Book Walker for everything but the Switch.
Mhm.
Crash Team Rumble
Yeah.
for everything but the Switch.
This is that Crash MOBA?
Yes.
Which still seems a weird choice to me.
I don't know if this is free to play. I don't think it is.
I don't know. I think it might be.
If it is, I will check it out.
We'll see. Look it up on later and see.
We also have Silicon City for the PC.
City.
Sonic Origins Plus.
Mhm.
That is for everything.
Yeah,
Wide release, everyone can get it everywhere.
I believe it's the same content as the original, but with more games added.
Yes.
I think is what that is.
That's what the plus is.
That's the plus, yes.
But everything get out of the way.
Right.
The big Square Enix showcase is here. Final Fantasy XVI.
16. That is 16.
Yes. Final Fantasy 16 is here.
Finally.
For the PS5.
Right. So the exclusivity window, I believe, is 6 months.
It's either 6 months or a year.
Or a year. So yeah, PS5 exclusive for now. It will eventually come out on other platforms. But for now, yeah, if you want to play Final Fantasy 16, it is out this week on PS5. And you will be checking this out.
There is a demo out that you
can want to talk about it now before we get into the press conference stuff.
Yeah, we'll talk about the demo now.
Okay, how's Final Fantasy 16? Are you more excited or less excited after this demo?
So before playing the demo, so they had a big kind of kickoff launch last week. And then during that kickoff launch, they said, hey, demo out now, you can play it. So I downloaded it, and then I didn't touch it for a couple days.
Yeah, stuff.
Because it's just like, oh yeah, I'll download it, but I have other stuff I want to play. It's a demo. I know the game doesn't come out for 2 weeks, so I'll at least play it before we do the show. So last night I was able to finally be like, okay, I literally have no other time than now to play it. So
gotta do this now.
I do this now because otherwise it comes out next week, and it's like, why am I talking about a demo when I can just?
Especially if you have to probably reset your progress as soon as the game comes out, right? This doesn't carry over.
So for the demo, it actually does.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
nice.
The demo itself is 2 different states. There is a opening about 2 hours of the actual game that you can play, and it is. It gets you up to level 10, but it literally stops you. You can't go back in and grind your way up to level whatever 100.
It's like that's it. That's all.
That's it. It's like it will literally stop you at 10, and if you want to replay the demo, you have to start from the beginning. You can't just hit continue from there.
Got it.
But the actual 2 hours feels like a good prologue to whatever the actual story is. It gives you enough setup, enough of the characters, and the writing is good enough that it makes you care about these characters.
That's good.
Enough to want to see what happens next.
Cool.
Although it being a Final Fantasy game and it being based in fantasy mythology and writing that previous Final Fantasy games have been set, the whole twist that they kind of set up in there, not that big of a twist. I can see what's happening, especially when you purposely zoom in on someone saying, I will protect you. It's like, nah, you ain't.
Don't believe you.
You say that now, but I know in the next hour here, you will fail on that.
That coat is turning.
Yes. No, sorry, that's not a turn code. It's just a fail promise.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. No, I feel like turncoat is just being a traitor. This is not being a traitor. This is just you literally will do your best.
What would Olivia Rodrigo think?
That she's a traitor.
Yeah, he's a traitor. Anyways,
Anyways, like as soon as that line came out, I was like, oh, this is not going to end well by the end of this thing. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. So easy foreshadowing. And like that first 2 hours didn't quite sell me on the game. It was like, okay, I get the basic mechanics here. I get kind of the story structure. There's these different kingdoms set throughout the land. They each guard a specific crystal.
Yeah.
Think like
crystals.
Ether, Meta, Matt Mako, whatever. Whatever Final Fantasy jargon you want to use for the colored orbs.
Mithril.
Yes. So they each guard it with their own kingdom. But now it's kind of like a Game of Thrones style where one of the kings was mysteriously assassinated, and now you are being basically Simba and exiled from the Pride Lands.
Yeah, very much inspired, and this is on the record, inspired by Game of Thrones.
Yes. Very much Game of Thrones. You pretty much played Jon Snow, where you were of noble blood, but then get sent out to the Watch, and you have no idea what's going on. And
he knows nothing.
13 years later, you're trying to piece together the pieces.
So he knows nothing.
Yeah. That's your basic setup. I mean, it's pretty obvious that they're taking heavily inspired from both Game of Thrones and history. And yeah, you're a royal blood, but we're going to send you down to the dumps, and then you're going to work your way back up to being OP by the end.
What do you think? And we probably will get into this more next week when we talk about the full game. But what do you think about like their pivot back to medieval, like closer to medieval style traditional fantasy? You moving away from the sci-fi elements of a lot of previous.
Unlike most people, I actually missed the car from 14.
Yeah.
I like the car. I like driving around with my buddies. I know a lot of people were turned off by that, and especially in the like very beginning, where your car literally breaks down, and the opening is just let's push the car so you can get the walking mechanic done. And
I totally even forgot about 15. Yeah, that was even different than before.
15 was online.
It was 14. 14 is online. I was talking about 15.
Oh yeah, 15.
I forgot about 15 being in like 15. A more modern setting, because I was talking about like 13 being like sci-fi.
Oh, super sci-fi. Yeah,
pretty much 7 to 13 kind of is in that zone, except for 9, I guess. But yeah, like this is more of a return to kind of traditional like Super NES Final Fantasy in tone. And do you think that works?
It does. I like this, especially if they're going with that kind of like Game of Thrones kind of mentality vibe with it.
Yeah.
It definitely fits the setting and fits like the battling kingdoms. You can't really get that in a more geopolitical kind of capitalization. Is not the right word I want to use.
I know what you mean, like
capitalistic societies.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so that's the first part of the demo. 2 hours. Like it gives you just the blanket.
Yeah.
Here's what's gonna happen.
And you said you weren't super inspired by that. You were just like, this is fine. But
I was like, okay, I get it. Like I get what you're going for. I can see the emotional heartstrings, but I'm not tugging here yet.
I feel like there's a butt coming.
There's a huge butt coming because it's the second part of this demo.
How big is this butt?
It is a big pre-order butt.
All right. What's the big butt on the other side of this demo?
On the other side, after you get through the first 2 hours, then it says that's your first 2 hours of the game. You can take that progress, you don't have to replay it, and it goes directly into the pre-order or whenever you eventually buy the game.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. But in order to show you more of what we can provide, it gives you a rundown of a level.
Okay.
And the premise is simple. It's you, your dog companion, and your buddy. It's storming the castle.
Okay.
So it's not the open world that it wants you to that it wants to showcase, but instead it's just a straight, simple level design of we're gonna put you in the castle, run up to the top, and defeat the boss of it.
It's like an example of what a mission might look like in the game proper. Not necessarily a story mission, but kind of like maybe like a side quest thing.
No, it's a story mission.
Oh, it's story related?
Okay. Yeah, it is story related because like the person, like the boss at the end is someone you see from the prologue.
Okay. So it's basically like it takes you probably a few hours later.
That's progress. What they say. Yeah, it says this is
something you typically you're going to do.
Like this is several hours into the game. The equipment that you have here may not be what you actually have when you get here in the actual game, but in order to get you a better experience of what this game is going to be like, here are some extra abilities.
Okay.
And
cool.
that is where it sold me.
All right.
Oh, I love the abilities here.
It's fun.
I like the combat here.
So yeah, the combat, that's a good question, because like the combat this is moving towards more of what I've heard described as kind of like a character action game.
Yes.
It's like a combo heavy kind of like Devil May Cry kind of approach.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of what I saw from the prologue was very, very simple. It's just you slash and you can throw fire. And that was it. I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, okay, your X, your square, attack, your triangle, throw your magic. Okay, very easy, very simple. I get it. Yeah. Now, what this second part of the demo does is, now that you know what you're getting through here, we're going to show you what's going to be like once you start actually leveling this stuff up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is what I'm came for. This is what I want to play. This is
what you came for.
Yes. This is the demo that like is selling me on why I pre-ordered this game, why I want this game. And the combat is excellent. It's smooth. It's like you said, combo heavy. You zip around from left to right to everywhere. There is no targeting system, which I don't have figured out. Like, turn
can't lock onto an enemy.
Yes, but
that's weird.
It's an auto lock on feature. It just doesn't show the receptacle.
Oh, so it's just kind of like it homes you in.
Yeah, you're gonna hit him no matter what.
All right.
Even if you're like next to it, it's gonna force you to hit him.
But does that make it difficult from switching between enemies though? Because you kind of have to, like, without a reticle to move, you kind of have to like physically move closer. Although, are you usually in just one-on-one?
No, you can move around. You just move where you're going. It's gonna go to whatever the next like nearest enemy is, or wherever the camera is facing, it will attack. Okay. But the actual combat and the smoothness of it, going from the different energies, going from the different attacks.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to spoil stuff here.
Sure. Yeah, you're fine. I mean, actually, you know what? It's a demo. You're probably good.
It's a demo. But that boss battle, when you get to that boss battle, the seamless transition between cinematic cutscene, like clear, this is like pre-rendered cinematic cutscene, and actual gameplay, just the seamless transition. There's even like you'll even slow down and do cinematic attacks. That's what they're called, which is just it's quick time events.
Yeah.
But they're so beautifully animated, so well done. That's like this is blowing me away. I love everything here. I want to see what happens more. Even after when you beat the final boss in this demo, it leaves you on the cliffhanger, wanting you to know more. What happens next? What's going on? I need more information here. And it's great, well done, perfect example of a great demo that makes you want to see what happens next, gives you enough of the story in the first 2 hours, and then shows you what the game is going to look like on a moment-to-moment basis.
That's awesome. So they're officially looking forward to the full release next week.
Yes.
So yeah, you'll have more to say about that next time. But in the meantime,
I mean, I've seen a lot of chatter of people saying this is a good demo. I didn't believe it at first, especially after that first section. I was like, okay, I get it, but you're saying this is like the best demo? And then like I finished that part, and then say, oh yeah, this extra part. I was like, oh, what's this?
Then you saw the light.
Then I was like, oh, this is what you guys are talking about. You're not talking about the first 2 hours. No, you're talking about the later game demo that you're talking about. That's
the rest of it, the meat.
Yes.
So there you go. That is the Final Fantasy 16 demo available now on PS5. This is for everybody, right?
That's a free demo.
Locked under the
no, you do not have to pre-order
stuff.
No, you don't have to pre-order. You don't have to pay the extra to get the demo. It's a free demo. You can download it right now. You can play it. Like I said, the first 2 hours of the story are there, and then it's about like an hour mission, or 2 hours maybe, depending on how much you want to explore and run around the dungeon or the castle. Cool. But it's very straightforward, and it gives you a really, really good taste of what's to come.
Awesome. Sounds wonderful. But yeah, we'll talk about more of the full game next week. In the meantime, stuff got announced. Summer Games Fest continued.
Yes.
After last week's kind of intro that we talked about. We had some of the...
we already went through the general Summer Games Fest. We went through PlayStation already.
Yes. But next up, Microsoft showed up and had a bunch to show. Yep. They dominated Sunday, right? They were all Sunday, basically. Yeah.
They were Sunday, and they started off with the big Cyberpunk 2077, Phantom Liberty.
So I don't actually believe this is in order. No. But yes, Phantom Liberty, this is the expansion. They had Keanu Reeves come back up.
Yep.
Good news coming out of the show on this. It seems like everybody who got hands-on time with this expansion said that it improves pretty much every part of the Cyberpunk experience, and that if you were curious about it, this would be the time to jump on. A lot of the improvements are coming to the base game as well to go alongside this expansion, but the expansion doesn't seem like it's that expensive. So it's like if you ever were curious and you waited for them to iron out all the bugs and problems with Cyberpunk, this seems to be the time to jump on.
You mean almost like they should have taken a whole other year to release it?
That was 2 years
Oh, God, that was 2 years ago?
Yeah. Oh. It's been a while. But yeah, it's good to see that the CD Projekt Red figured it out and finally figured out what they did. The good thing about them, and I think this was part of the conversation back when the bugs and stuff was the big story, is that they do take the time to work on their games. Mm-hmm. They did this with The Witcher 3 before, and they did it here. And they did the due diligence.
The Witcher 3's had several DLCs with it too.
Yeah. So it's like, I think the lesson learned here is no, games should not come out that broken. But 2, if they do, you do the work and you fix it. And I think they did it. And sounds like there's good stuff in here.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We also had Obsidian come up on stage and share more on their upcoming game, Avowed.
Yeah, the big thing we learned here is that yes, does it look like Skyrim? Yes. But apparently, does it have the depth of Skyrim? No. Apparently, what they're doing with Avowed is it's going to be a similar to their approach with the Outer Worlds, where it's similar to a Bethesda RPG, but it's much smaller in scope. So this is not going to be a billion-hour experience. It's going to be a smaller, more focused, like 20 to 30-hour experience, is what they've said, which could be interesting. I like a Skyrim-esque game, like that kind of approach to a first-person RPG. Avowed could be a version of that that's more manageable and respects your time a little more, especially when, we'll talk about it later, Starfield is the exact opposite of that. Yep. So yeah, Avowed seems neat, and I love Obsidian. I like what they do.
Let's see. They also announced a free-to-play game called The First Descendant, which will launch later this year.
Not sure exactly what that is, but it could be neat.
Let's see here.
This is important.
Game Studio Stoic offered a deeper dive into their Xbox Game Pass Day 1 title, Towerborn.
Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush gets a new arcade challenge update next month.
I just realized something. This is the extended recap. Yeah. This was not the first show.
Okay.
I'm wondering what this stuff was. I was like, wait, half of this stuff I don't remember.
Yes, it's extended.
Sorry, we're getting we're putting the cart before the horse here. We're actually going reverse chronological. This actually happened a couple days after the main show.
Okay.
So we should probably press rewind and back up to what happened on Sunday.
Oh, I don't know.
We pulled up the wrong recap. That's funny. They did show Cyberpunk though at the show, so that's why I was confused. Here we go.
All right. So yeah, Fable.
Fable was the first thing. This is how they opened it. They showed off. They said it was an engine, but that's not gameplay. Mm-hmm. They showed basically in-engine cutscenes from the new Fable. This is the Playground Games reboot of the series. They showed a female protagonist, although I assume that you probably will be able to choose when you start choose a gender. They showed the IT crowd's dude, the IT crowd dude.
Ayoade.
Yeah. It's like a star
Ayoade
in some sort of supporting role as a giant. It seems like it has a good British sense of humor. It does evoke a lot of what that original series had. It seems like it could be neat. It's just we haven't seen any actual gameplay yet.
There's also the Xbox exclusive South of Midnight from Compulsion Games.
Yeah, this is the first Compulsion Games release after they got picked up by Microsoft. No gameplay of this either. This was also just an in-engine cutscene. But man, did that strike a vibe. I was watching this with Christy, and Christy was even like, man, that actually looks like a cool look. Seems like very inspired by like a kind of a Southern storytelling vibe. The American South, I should specify.
Yes.
And it seems like a neat thing that games haven't touched on. And if this is like, I don't know what kind of game this is, but if it keeps those vibes, I think it'd be cool.
I'll say, didn't Red Dead Redemption 2 touch on it with like Saint Denis?
Not really, because that's the West. That's very clearly in the kind of the Western expansion, kind of cowboy kind of era. This is different.
Okay.
This is a different vibe.
There's also a new Star Wars game.
Yeah.
By Ubisoft.
Yeah, Ubisoft's open world Star Wars game, Outlaws. So they went more in depth with this in their own Ubisoft Forward presentation. But what we saw in the Microsoft presentation was basically another in-engine cutscene that kind of showcased the vibe of what to expect. I've heard good things about this. It seems like it's a cool take on being a Star Wars outlaw and kind of being a smuggler, kind of a Han Solo type character.
You mean no Jedi in here?
It's not about the Jedi for once. I know, amazing.
For now. That's all we know. For now. It probably will be. Let's see. There's also announcement of 33 Immortals, a co-op action roguelike.
And hence the name. Co-op up to 33 players. You have 33 friends? I certainly don't.
No, I know 33 anonymous people that would probably jump on a server.
So yeah, this looked neat. It looked kind of like a Hades-esque roguelike game that you can play with a bunch of friends.
Up to 33 of your friends.
Yeah.
There's also a Payday 3.
Yes. I definitely thought they had already made a Payday 3. And so I was telling Christy, it's like, is this 4? Did they make 3 of these? And then when the 3 came up, I was like, oh, that's right. They're still on 3.
They're only made 2.
Yeah, I mean, this has a cult following. Payday 2 is a huge game with a big audience. Yep. And so might as well
I remember playing a lot of Payday 2.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I've never touched a Payday game.
It's fun. It's also very fast. Yeah. I think that's why I liked it a lot.
Heists.
Yes.
You love a heist.
Yep. Let's see here. We had the previously announced Persona 3.
We talked about the leak last week.
Yep.
But this was confirmed. So those are both coming in Game Pass, both Persona 3 Reload and Persona 5 Tactica.
Yep. There's also a Sea of Thieves Monkey Island crossover.
Yeah, this was a surprise. In tandem with Lucasfilm's games. They'll just straight up Sea of Thieves in the with all the characters that you love for the Monkey Island franchise. I thought this was a good idea.
There's also a new Microsoft Flight Simulator for Game Pass, updated for the current year.
Yes, but that's not the biggest part about that announcement. The biggest part was, not the Dune thing.
Yes, it was. It's Dune in November.
But that's not the big thing. The big thing is that now there seems to be some single-player campaign stuff you can do. You can do jobs as planes. You can rescue people from mountains. You can put out fires. You can be a VIP jet pilot for celebrities. It seemed like there's a lot now campaign-esque single-player missions that you can do in Flight Simulator. Seems awesome. And all your stuff that you've bought or have from the previous game will be brought over to 2024.
Well, that's a nice quality of life.
It is. It's nice that they kept that stuff.
Let's see here. They also had Hellblade 2.
Yeah, new trailer for Hellblade 2. Still looks like that game.
Yep. New Yakuza game, Like a Dragon.
Yes.
Infinite Wealth.
This is 8. This is the proper next installment in the Like a Dragon, formerly Yakuza series. And it seems to take place in Hawaii. So a lot of English will be spoken in this game compared to the previous games. And Infinite Wealth is a funny name, and it was a very funny trailer.
I feel like that's the easy thing now. Once you get to 8, you just turn it sideways.
Yeah. Mario Kart did it.
Yep.
You don't need to talk about Fallout 76.
No, I was going to skip that. Let's see, Capcom with a new game.
They're announcing an exclusive to Xbox that will be on Game Pass day 1 called Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess. It seems neat. And the fact that Capcom made a deal like this with Microsoft is surprising. They went into more depth, I believe, in their presentation.
Yep. The next Forza is out, Forza Motorsport.
Yep.
Which turns 10.
No, Turn 10 is the developer.
Turn 10.
It's funny though. But yeah, finally, Forza Motorsport, the reboot, will be out soon.
Elder Scrolls Online Necrom.
Coming to Game Pass.
Coming to Game Pass. Overwatch 2 we can skip.
Yeah, we already talked about Tactica.
Yep. And there's your Starfield.
So we'll talk about more Starfield at the end of this, I think.
Yeah. What's this?
Jusant by Don't Nod. We talked about Don't Nod briefly last week. Well, this is their new big game. It will be a Game Pass Day 1 announced, confirmed as well. Chrissy was really interested in this because basically it's climbing the game. If you like climbing and rock climbing and stuff, this is all about climbing a giant mountain. And it seems really cool.
Or at least what you can assume is a giant mountain.
Yeah, who knows what it may be.
Let's see here. Another Game Pass edition called Still Wakes the Deep.
Yeah, seems okay. It's like it takes place on an oil rig, like a horror game on an oil rig. City Skylines 2 got announced, the sequel to City Skylines. A new game by the Persona team called Metaphor Refantasio, which is a fantasy take on kind of a Persona style gameplay. Persona heads are very excited about that.
So doing a reverse Final Fantasy?
Yeah, actually, well, no, kind of actually doing what Final Fantasy 16 is doing, moving away from modern stuff and leaning hard into medieval fantasy kind of stuff.
Yeah, you missed that they're going back instead of doing something new. Okay,
I guess I don't know.
All right. See, we also had reveal from In Exile Entertainment.
Clockwork Revolution, which looks suspiciously like BioShock Infinite. Yes. It was weird. I could have sworn there were moments where I was like, that looked exactly like that original trailer for BioShock Infinite. But then again, can you believe it's been 10 years since BioShock Infinite?
Has it been 10 years? 2013?
2013.
I remember playing a lot of BioShock Infinite.
Oh, I liked it when it came out. It's not aged well. But a new game that takes that kind of concept of a steampunk society and puts up an RPG shooter on it, it could be interesting.
Cool. See, yeah, that's not the part that I liked. It was a time travel stuff that I liked.
I mean, yes. Of course.
And then new Xbox Series S Carbon Black edition with the 1 terabyte.
If you want one that looks like the Series X, you could finally have one. Yes. And cranking up the terabyte also cranked up the price by $50. And I saw a lot of people being like, well, every increment you make it more expensive, it gets closer to the Series X. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. They could just buy a Series X for $50 more. It does seem like a weird pricing question.
Yep. And then a 45-minute gameplay deep dive into Starfield.
So Starfield, I'll try to be brief here. It is everything but the kitchen sink, but with the kitchen sink. You can do so much in this game. So they broke down every single little bit of the thing. They took their sweet time breaking down every element of gameplay here. I thought the coolest stuff was about, it seems like they took everything from No Man's Sky and slapped it into a Bethesda game. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of the planets being like infinite options, but there being story content that's the same for everybody somewhere on that planet. So you'll have similar experiences to other players, but you may not run into them at the same place that they did. It's a neat concept. I like some of the stuff they showed off with ship customization. The combat looks fun. Looks like they refined the shooting a little bit more. There's no equivalent to a slow down time mechanic like VATS and Fallout, but it doesn't seem like you need to because it seems like the shooting is that much better. There's a lot of options, a lot of things you can do. The space flight stuff looks good, but maybe complicated. The fact that you have to Star Wars TIE Fighter style manage shields, and put power to engines and stuff, depending on what you're tuning. I think that'll maybe be a little complicated for people who are just coming into it and expecting an arcade shooter kind of experience. So there's a lot of questions about if you're trying to cater to every audience, who's gonna what are people gonna settle with what they want to do? But I guess that's the idea, is they want people to find the game where they find it. Mm-hmm. So you could do the whole thing just mainlining the campaign stuff. You do the whole thing in space, doing space exploration. You could do the whole thing all sorts of ways, it seems. So the fact that they're presenting so many options seems like this game is impossibly massive. And the fact that this is Game Pass is wild. You can just play all of it. So I'm excited to check it out. I feel like this was the thing that convinced me, all right, I'm on board. I'm on board for Starfield. I'll try what they have. I'll figure out what part of it I want to enjoy, because it seems like it's a game about that kind of options.
I feel like it might be too many options.
Does this, as somebody who is outside of the Xbox ecosystem, is this something that could convince you otherwise? Like, does this get you, maybe convince you to pick up a Series S?
I mean, if I pick up a Series, it would be just to play just to get Game Pass. Since it's on Game Pass.
Honestly, it might be worth it, because like there's just so much stuff on there. Starfield by itself is probably
get the Carbon version.
Yeah, I know. I mean, they're almost, it's like these two things actually seem to be like related if you think about how big of a release Starfield is. I mean, there's a reason why they have one game coming out this fall, because it's all you need.
Mm-hmm.
This thing looks like it's got content for days, months, years. And yeah, like, did this convince you? Like, is this something that you would want to try out?
I don't know, because like, I mean, you mentioned No Man's Sky. I was hyped for that game when it came out, and then you kind of bounced right off of it until the updates came.
Yeah. I think the last thing I'll say about Starfield, because we've already kind of gone long, is if they can pull it off, this will be amazing. This will be like a Game of the Year candidate if all of this stuff works like they say it will, and is as bottomless and endless as it looks like it. But Bethesda does not have a great track record about releasing games in a non-buggy state. If the Xbox head Matt Booty, yes, laugh about Matt Booty's name, is to be believed, he says that if it was released today, he said this on the Giant Bomb Couch. They did their kind of E3 couch stuff where they had him and Phil Spencer on and did an interview. And Matt Booty said that if he says if they released it today, that day that he was doing the interview, that it would still be the least buggy and problematic Bethesda release that they've ever put out. I'm like, wow, that's impressive. And that thing's coming out in September. So like they have even more time to kind of iron stuff out.
3 months.
So if he's to be believed, this thing's going to run pretty well. I mean, in 30 frames per second on the Xbox Series X. And people are mad about that.
I saw that.
Not a huge deal.
And then people pointed to the Switch and said, but y'all like this at 30 frames per second.
But that's the thing, is that I think that people believed that the Series X was powerful enough that the 4K 60 would be the norm. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be the case moving forward as you get these games that are designed to be high quality next gen experiences. I feel like the day of the 40K 60 is over, starting with Starfield. So don't get your hopes up, people. Anyway, I think it's cool. I'm excited to try this out in a few months. Because this will probably be my fall, and I'm ready for that.
You just got to suffer through 3 months of unknown.
Of more Diablo, probably. Diablo Street Fighter. Gonna keep you busy for a while. Anyway.
All right. Anyways, that was Microsoft.
Yeah. Good showing, I think, overall.
I mean, so if you're into Starfield as you are, it sounds like there's also a new controller and headset geared for it.
Neat
it's
idea.
A skin for it.
It's neat. It's neat.
All right. But they weren't the only ones with the showcase.
Yeah, Ubisoft also had a thing. Really, we kind of already covered it. They showed more Outlaws. They got 10 minutes of gameplay in there. Open world kind of traditional Ubisoft experience, but with a lot of Star Wars flavored stuff. Also, I like the main character. I think her design is really cool. Like, she seems like a really neat protagonist to play as.
They also had a release date for Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, which is in December.
It's December 7th, so that'll be an end-of-the-year game. This seems even more of a traditional Ubisoft open world. I saw a lot of Far Cry comparisons, but with the unique approach of the Avatar world and the stuff you can do in Avatar. It looked better than I think people expected it to.
There's also a new Prince of Persia.
Mm-hmm. We talked about this last week because they showed it off at the Sony show.
Yep.
But this is that side-scrolling approach to Prince of Persia. Brings it kind of back to the origins of the series.
Yeah, we also talked about Mirage last week.
Yep, Assassin's Creed Mirage. They showed more of that. That comes out on October 12th.
Yep. They show off their VR version, Assassin's Creed Nexus.
Sure, somebody wants this.
As well as a Assassin's Creed codename Jade.
Yes, this is the one that's set in China.
Yes, the custom assassin.
A mobile game. Yep. So we'll see.
Let's see here. The Crew Motorfest gets a release date of September.
Yes. Who wanted a new Crew game? Raise your hands.
No idea. Let's see here. Also, a new anime coming to Netflix called Captain Laserhawk: A Blood Dragon.
Yeah, based on the Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon expansion from a decade ago.
Yep.
Does anybody remember this? Because I hope I guess they're relying on somebody like me to remember what that was. I don't know who that's for.
I don't know. They also announced that the Skull and Bones closed beta.
Finally, somebody can play that game, sort of.
It's coming in August, only for 3 days.
Another mobile game, this time based on The Division.
Yep.
And then a bunch of other smaller stuff.
Yep, Jet Set Radio, and other stuff. I think there was rumors that they're working on a new.
Well, don't get people excited. A Jet Set Radio theme for Roller Champions, not a new Jet Set Radio game. They don't own those rights. That's a Sega.
Yes. No, I was saying that there's rumors that they're working on a third South Park game.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that happening.
I'm not sure if it's going to be 2D or if they're going to go to a more 3D environment, kind of open world based. But
I don't know. I don't know what you do.
I mean, we'll see where they go because they already covered their like fantasy elements and then their superhero elements.
Yeah, what do you do next? I don't know. I don't know what you do next with that. Only Trey Parker and Matt Stone know.
Yep.
All right, that was Ubisoft. So just mostly gameplay of stuff we knew about.
Yep. And lastly, we'll talk about Capcom real brief here in like 5 minutes if we can. Dragon's Dogma 2 gets a deeper gameplay trailer.
It sure is a sequel to Dragon's Dogma.
Yep. Pragmata delayed indefinitely.
I guess this was announced 2 years ago, and we haven't seen anything about it. And now they just said, like, hey, it's still happening, but it's not coming anytime soon.
Well, I mean, if they never put out an announcement
right
of like when they expected it to release, it's just infinitely coming soon.
Yeah.
There's also announcement of Ace Attorneys number 4, 5, and 6 getting HD remastered.
Yeah.
Called the Apollo Justice.
This follows the first collection of the first 3 games. So yeah, if you never played those DS games, then they're all here collected for you.
Yep, that's including of. Let's see here. That's
Apollo Justice, then Dual Destinies, and then Spirit of Justice.
Yes.
So the Apollo Justice games, technically, even though Phoenix Wright does show up in a couple of them.
Right. Let's see. We also have a new trailer for Exoprimal.
Yeah.
And it's going to get a battle pass.
The dinosaur game thing.
Yeah. Dino hunting game.
Yep.
There's also a Ghost Trick demo available now.
Yeah, this is a remaster of the what was that on? DS Ghost Trick game? I believe that was a DS game. Coming on everything else.
You talking about the Knutzy?
Yep, we talked about that.
Mega Man 10 Dive offline.
X Dive offline.
10 Mega Man 10 Dive offline.
No, different because Mega Man X is the franchise.
Okay, Mega Man Cross.
No,
Dive offline.
Anyway,
I think that was it.
That's pretty much it. There was some other smaller stuff. Christy really wanted me to talk about the Wholesome Direct. I'm not going to have time. Look that up if that's the kind of jam. If you like farming games and quaint, wholesome games and cozy stuff, check that out. There's actually a lot of cool stuff there. Actually, if you want to look her up, she's Christy. She's Broccolini44, I believe, on Twitch. She did a stream of a few of those demos from the Wholesome Direct. Hey. And one of the developers of one of the games she was playing, Bubblegum Galaxy, hopped on her stream and chatted with her.
Hey.
Yeah, to say like, hey, glad you're enjoying the game, and actually helped them find a bug because there was a character she was trying to speak to and that wasn't working. Like the dialogue box wasn't popping up. And so they were like, oh, that's a problem. We're going to work on it. It was very cute. It was a very cute moment. I was like, I've never had a dev talk to me on the stream. And Christy does it the third time she streamed.
Now she can add playtester to her resume.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the Wholesome Direct was cool. Check that out if you want to. The Day of the Devs happened. A bunch of indie stuff was shown there. That's the thing that Double Fine puts on alongside Microsoft. There was a PC showcase. So yeah, there's a lot more we only scratched the surface of. So yeah, look up game coverage and you'll look up all that. We unfortunately do not have time to get into all of it.
Yes, because we have to move on to television.
We do. So let's move over to television by starting with what we always start with, which is the Sports Corner. We have champions, folks. 2 big championships happened, and we have winners. The NBA champion this year is of course, the Denver Nuggets.
Congratulations to Nikola Jokic.
Yes, who maybe wants to be there, maybe just wants to go home.
I think he just wants to go. I don't think he realized how long the playoffs are.
Yeah, I don't think so. He just wants to go home. And you know what? I feel you.
Well, it's because in the normal season, you play one game and you go on to the next team.
Right.
You play one game, you go on to the next team. When you play the same team 7 times, or at least even 5 times in a row.
Ask anybody in baseball, they'll tell you.
They're like, yeah, this is normal for baseball.
Normal for us. But yeah, congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. It was always kind of meant to be that way.
Well, they were the number 1 team of the West, going up against number 8 team in the Heat from the East.
I see a lot of talk about this being the beginning of a dynasty. Do you think that they can do it again, turn it around next year?
I'm going to say no, because Nikola Jokic does not want to play this long into June.
You think he wants to go home permanently?
No. I mean, I don't think he wants, like, now that he's realized how long it takes just to win a trophy,
he's not going to do it.
He's like, well, I did it. You got your trophy. I just want to play basketball and go back home.
Damn. Well, we'll see, I guess. Meanwhile, in the NHL, get ready to boo. Your champions were, of course, the Los Angeles, Jesus Christ. Sorry, don't want to tempt you there. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, and only its 6th season existing.
Boo. So yes, in case you didn't realize or understand why people hate Vegas, compare Denver Nuggets waiting 47 years for a championship to the Golden Knights
6.
Waiting 6 years.
I mean, they had an advantage. That expansion draft gave them a lot of great players.
Yes.
And
that was 6 years ago, though.
But still, though, that DNA is consistent.
Yes.
People play a while, and it was meant to. It was going to happen. It was bound to happen at some point.
Well, I mean, they won it because they got there in their first year. Thankfully, they didn't win in their first year.
Yeah, the silver lining, or the golden lining here, is that. Hey, Las Vegas has a championship, and they're a town that has not had sports teams, like major sports teams, for a while. So congratulations.
Well, this is their second championship because the WNBA Las Vegas Aces won last year.
Right.
Well.
So congratulations.
Actually, a couple of weeks ago. I think they ended in summer, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I think that that's why I don't feel too bad about this is say what you will about the Golden Knights and the legitimacy of their victory. But I think it's cool for Las Vegas because this is relatively new for them. It's a new feeling.
Yes, and it's cool because Jonathan Quick gets another championship.
There you go.
And Alex Martinez gets another championship.
Meanwhile, it's time for U.S. Open golf.
Well, meanwhile, it's just baseball now. All the major sports.
That's true. Sports is over largely.
Yes, this is what they call the dog days of summer as we get into June and July before football returns in preseason in August.
And then during the All-Star break, no sports.
Yes.
No sports will happen. Your favorite day of the year.
Yes.
Where no sports
happens and the ESPYs happen.
Yeah, the ESPY. Manly Man Tears. Get ready for that. Who's coming soon. But anyways, yes. So golf has been in the news for reasons we talked about last week. But unrelated to all that is the U.S. Open.
Yes.
The 123rd U.S. Open.
Yes.
You're going to be checking this out.
It is at the Los Angeles Country Club.
Hey, you could drive up.
I could, but it is a very, very super exclusive country club.
Yeah, you can't get in.
I'll tell you how exclusive it is. Not even professionals on the PGA Tour have played on this.
Damn.
They're talking about how they were watching flyover YouTube videos of each hole in order to study it because they haven't played on it.
Damn.
Why it's here? I don't know.
I guess we'll see.
But yeah, the Los Angeles Country Club. It's happening this weekend. I should have pulled up whoever was leading.
Golf people.
Yes. US Open Golf. Not to be confused with the US Open of Tennis.
Yeah.
Ricky Fowler, currently your leader at -10.
By the way, I would have been confused, but the reason why I knew it was because I saw a real stupid ad with Will Arnett and what's his name?
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman. And
Yes.
I was like, oh, okay. I saw it literally yesterday, and so I knew that that's what this was referring to.
Oh, because I didn't say of golf.
No, you never do.
I thought pretty Los Angeles Country Club.
Yeah,
would
that
say.
also was a good hint, I think.
Yes, but Schauffele is 2 off, and Rory McIlroy also 2 off, tied for 3rd.
Yep, there you go.
Yeah, great, like first day opening. Everyone sucked the second day when they moved the pins and like actual like weather was involved.
Yeah, that'll happen.
But hey, it's supposed to be sunny. It's supposed to be beautiful in LA this weekend. Should be some good golf.
All right, looking forward.
Also, if you want to hear announcers talk about Barrancas a lot.
Do I?
They talk about the Barrancas in this thing.
Explain what that is.
So,
because I feel like there's going to be people who are like, what the hell are you
so so those of you who don't want to Google it or just don't know, Barranca is basically a dried up waterbed.
Okay.
But because it's a dried up waterbed, if your ball goes into there, it may be dirt, it may be mud. Who knows what kind of type of hazard would be in the Barranca?
Is that why that street in Irvine is named?
Yes, it is.
Okay, that makes so much more sense now. I was wondering what Barranca meant. Now I know. All right, let's stop talking about Barrancas. Let's move on to tennis. Speaking of tennis.
Yes.
Novak Djokovic won the French Open and now breaks the tie with Rafael Nadal to win 23 Grand Slams.
Congratulations.
Yeah, whatever. Meanwhile, number 1 ranked Iga Swiatek won the French Open.
Yep. She won the women's. She was also ranked number 1. And just like the NBA and the NHL,
number one
seed takes
the theme this year, which bodes badly for the baseball teams we want to win. Anyway,
hey, there's still time to play number 1 seeds.
Time. We just keep winning. Yes. Keep upsetting these people. Next up is, speaking of baseball, college baseball has reached the College World Series.
So last week we talked about Oklahoma winning the softball. Well, now it's the men's turn.
TCU, Oral Roberts, Florida, Virginia, Wake Forest, Stanford, LSU, and Tennessee are in competition here.
Yep, and that takes place this week. I think we should have our championship by next Friday. I want to say. It's either 1 or 2 week playoff, but they each play 3 games to try and like break it off.
I might check this out. I would love to watch some college College World Series baseball.
Yeah, through the 26th. So we won't have our champion, but we will know who will be playing for the World Series.
Very exciting. So check that out. And then lastly, in sports news, I had to move this. You actually had this in the wrong spot, so I moved it down to the end of your list.
Okay.
The USFL final weekend before the playoffs is upon us. The Birmingham Stallions are the only team so far to clinch their playoff spot.
And as I mentioned 3 weeks ago,
else sucks.
There's a great division between the South, the South completely wrecking everyone, and the only reason Birmingham Stallions are in is because they have 2 losses. Everyone else has 3 losses in their division.
Yeah.
So this is literally a win-or-go-home situation for them. Meanwhile, on the north side, no one has a plus 500 record, yet 2 of those teams will be into the playoffs.
Damn. USFL, it's still, it's baby steps for this league. They're still learning.
As we saw with the XFL, even a team with a losing record could win the championship.
Man, if both of those leagues have that happen this year, it'd be really, really funny. Really, really funny. All right, let's move into television news unless there's anything about sports. Well, I mean, they're over. So
the only thing, baseball, we once again get your all-star ballots in. We won't be constantly checking in on who's leading the home run race.
But Ohtani is getting there, is what we will say.
He's at number 1 right now.
But only because Pete Alonso is on pause because he's hurt.
Yes, tied with Pete Alonso.
Yeah, but Ohtani could take over the lead this weekend.
Yep, a pitcher could be your home run leader.
I mean, it's happened before with Ohtani and no one else. All right, let's move on to television news. First story, a little update about Wheel of Fortune, weirdly enough.
So, game shows happening at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah,
Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune back to back, kind of staples.
Yeah, you're probably wondering, like, wait a minute, Media Boat podcast, talking about Wheel of Fortune. That's not right. They should be talking about Jeopardy.
Yes.
Well, weirdly enough, this was a big story this week because of that, like what actual impact this has on television history. The time has finally come, says host Pat Sajak. He's decided that his 41st season, which begins in September, will be his last. Quote, "It's been a wonderful ride. I'll have more to say in the coming months. Many thanks to you all," he said via Twitter. Sajak, age 76, has presided over the game show since 1981 when he took over duties from Chuck Woolery, who was the show's first host when it debuted in 75. Sajak will continue to serve as a consultant on the show for 3 years after his retirement as the host. What did they do? Do they just put Vanna White as the host?
That's what the internet is saying that they want, that they should happen.
I think that's the move. You move Vanna White into the hosting job, and they give the Vanna White position to Vanna White's daughter, or no, not Vanna White's daughter, Pat Sajak's daughter, who's already been showing up on the show all the time.
Yeah,
that's what you do.
That's what you do. I
think it's a good move. Will they do that? Do you think that that's realistic, or do they get somebody else? They get another white guy to do it.
I don't know. I think Anthony Anderson would be kind of good one here.
I could see it.
A little different flavor for it.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know if people are the internet is championing both Vanna White and Steve Harvey.
Steve Harvey would be funny.
I don't want either. I mean, I don't want Steve Harvey. He already has Steve Harvey. I think he's too much on ABC. I'm fine with Vanna White doing it.
When somebody guesses wrong, you don't want him to go
like yes,
the Steve Harvey face.
Well, especially like at the very end.
Yeah.
It's like, you were so close. And then, no, you weren't.
I mean, honestly.
Like, Anthony Anderson would be fine with it.
Honestly, I'm okay with this because, Pat Sajak, even though he's been on there forever, he's kind of a weird guy.
Yeah.
Kind of done with him. I think it's good that he's moving on.
I mean, Jeopardy moved on.
Yep.
Pat Sajak.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, they had to.
Yes.
It's a little different situation here. This is him retiring, not, like.
Okay.
Different.
Price is Right moved on.
That is true.
So Pat Sajak can move on with Wheel of Fortune.
And we can move on.
Yeah, he'll still be on as a consultant for the next 3 years. But yeah, his hosting duties. Hopefully they don't do the celebrity thing where they just rotate different people.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to host.
You think. Anyway, our next story is not, a huge surprise, but a little bit of a surprise.
A follow-up, I guess.
Yeah, the Golden Globes have been subject of much controversy over the last handful of years.
Especially with the Hollywood Foreign Press Association.
Yes, the Press Association kind of was under fire for a while about having like a non-diverse staff, maybe being like a subject of, wait, are these awards bought and sold? Like kind of questions over the last handful of years. Well, the Golden Globes announced on Monday that they will no longer be associated with the Hollywood Foreign Press Association because the Hollywood Foreign Press Association is shutting down. The annual award ceremony was bought by Eldridge Industries alongside Dick Clark Productions. They have acquired all of the Golden Globes' assets, rights, and properties from the Foreign Press Association and intend to establish a new Golden Globe Foundation through which it will continue entertainment-related charitable giving. So they won't just be an entity to run an award show. They will also at least have the charity arm continue that part of the business.
Which is what a lot of people liked about the Golden Globes.
It was the only thing about the Golden Globes because really, without it, it doesn't need to exist. So the brand new management of the 81st Golden Globe Awards are now scheduled for Sunday, January 7th, 2024. No broadcasting partner has been announced quite yet. I would imagine it's ABC. Dick Clark Productions traditionally does their stuff on ABC, but with the recent move of the American Music Awards being kind of revamped, that is even open to interpretation. No one knows what's going to happen there either. So this kind of puts Dick Clark Productions with a lot of question marks about what they will do.
I mean, this is Ryan Seacrest's Dick Clark Productions, so
yeah,
it makes sense. It's going to be on ABC. It makes sense if Ryan Seacrest is going to host.
I could see that, but I could also see him take a step back and just do a producing role.
Yeah.
And then focus on what he does more. Otherwise, I think this is ultimately a good thing. I don't love the Dick Clark production stuff. I mean, I feel like we talked about this with the AMAs. They kind of always felt like a sham because it was really just ABC being like, we needed Grammys.
Yeah.
So this feels a little bit weird.
I mean, isn't that the whole point of Dick Clark Productions producing it in the first place?
Yeah, it feels a little bit weird, but at the same time, I'm glad that the Golden Globe Awards are no longer have the baggage of being associated with the Foreign Press Association. So it's kind of a mixed story.
Yep.
So that's news in the television world. Meanwhile, the writers are still on strike.
Yes.
No word about the DGA.
No word about the DGA yet. I didn't see anything.
And also no advancements with the SAG-AFTRA.
SAG-AFTRA has until June 30th, but there was an article saying that they will continue negotiations past that deadline.
Okay.
So we may not see a strike through July 4th.
Okay.
They may do it the Wednesday after, just to not put spotlight on around 4th of July.
So that's your strike update. Meanwhile, that's it for television news. So you watched one thing. We'll just talk about the one thing you finished.
We'll talk about the one thing we finished. I am currently watching Class of 09 and The Lazarus Project. Class of 09 is FX and Hulu, about the FBI. There's 2 episodes left in the season. I'll talk about that when it wraps up. Very intriguing. It's got both a past, present, and future kind of vibe to it.
Okay.
But Kate Mara and Brian Tyree Henry, excellent in this.
Cool.
The Lazarus Project is the other thing I'm watching. It's been promoted heavily because NBA finals on TNT.
Yeah.
This is actually a Sky British TV production that is getting a U.S. release here.
Got it.
It is about a secret organization that is able to time travel back to a specific date once a year. Well, not once a year, but to a specific time every year in order to prevent world catastrophe disasters, mainly World War III or mass extermination. That they have a mysterious button that says, if we don't on July 1st, if we do not have, that might be June 1st. If we do not solve this issue by June 1st, we can try again. Or if there's a mass extermination, we can just try again, and everything will reset to the previous year's June 1st. Not a full time travel show, but enough of a Tenet-esque situation where you can go back, where this secret society is able to go back and start over from a certain point in time every year.
Okay.
But what happens when something bad happens to one of the officers and they really, really, really want to push the button to prevent it from happening, but it's not a world-ending event? That's kind of your basic premise.
You'll have to watch the show to find out?
Yeah.
So you'll talk about that more next week?
I'll talk about more of that. I mean, that's one of those where I like the concept, I like the premise. I don't know how much I'm going to finish it, but I like it enough to continue watching.
All right. But the one thing you did finish watching,
and the one thing that the internet is very talking about, is the new season of Black Mirror.
This is season 6. Right, yeah, for the Netflix stuff.
5 new Black Mirror episodes dropped.
Okay.
While some people on the internet are saying not a bad one in the bunch, I kind of disagree.
Any instant classics, like any San Junipero's in here, or no?
Yes, Joan is awful. Instant classic.
Oh, okay.
Lock Henry. Instant classic. Those are the first 2 episodes.
All right.
A lot of people are praising the Aaron Paul Beyond the Sea one. I am not. 1, it's 90 minutes instead of the usual hour. 2, if you didn't really see that twist coming of what the hell was going to happen, then that's on you. It was literally laid out there beat for beat. There's no way this is going to end well. I see this is not going to end well. I see what it is that you're trying to do here, but also, this is not going to end well here. And it went exactly beat for beat how I thought it was going to end. So it wasn't that shocking. And even the build-up intention wasn't that interesting enough to keep me this is a great television. No, this is you had a story, but you're kind of trying to front-end it with the excuse of why this story is happening.
Okay.
And then the next one is Maisie Day, about paparazzi and Hollywood Starlet
named Scarlet. Scarlet the Starlet.
Yes.
And when you use
Starlet, where paparazzi are trying to get photos of her. I like the entire thing what it's trying to say about the industry. I liked everything about it, except the twist in the third act, because nowhere is it ever hinted that this is what's going to happen. Nowhere is it ever hinted that this is like the world that we live in. It just comes completely out of nowhere, and it doesn't work. Like, I get what they were trying to do by the ending, with the line "shoot me," because paparazzi and gun. It's like the same thing. Like, like the old joke, or old joke or riddle of a man goes to the county fair and shoots the prize winning cow and walks away, and no one stops him.
Right.
Because he shoots him because he's a photographer. Same thing happens here. I won't spoil what the twist is, but I didn't like it because it literally came out of nowhere.
So a mixed bag of a season, it sounds like.
Yes. Even the last one, Devil 79, takes place in, I believe it's 1979, because everything's just like that. And about preventing the apocalypse. Would you believe a devil talking to you that if you don't kill 3 people in 3 days, that the apocalypse would happen?
Now, do you know he's the devil when this is happening?
They show you that this person is looking and talking to the devil.
Yeah.
But it's not like an actual like devil.
But does this person understand that they are speaking to the devil?
Yes.
Okay, then no. You do not believe anything that the devil says you.
Yes, it is.
That's just a rule. You don't do a deal with the devil.
It's an actual like demon devil.
Yeah, don't do it.
But in order to be like keep the story progressing, they shapeshift them into an image of someone like they admire.
Of course.
So it's like, oh, don't you admire me? Don't you want to do it for me? Like, come on, this person deserved it. They've wronged you. You should try and kill them. Plus, you'll be ready to the apocalypse. It's like a double good thing, right?
I feel like at this point, though, you should understand. Don't do deals with the devil. Every single time somebody does a deal with the devil, it goes badly.
But it's to prevent the apocalypse. Isn't that a good thing? Don't you want to prevent the apocalypse?
So it seems like Black Mirror back on its bullshit.
Yeah, the first 2 episodes, great. Loved them. I don't want to spoil anything about them, but they're great. The last 3 I have problems with.
Sure.
Like I said, some people are saying this is like the best thing they've ever done. I have problems with the last 3, as I just mentioned.
Not as convinced.
So I'm not as convinced. They're good, but 2 of them, I can see the twist coming. And the third one, because there's no actual setup for the twist, it feels like it comes out of nowhere, and it feels like I don't why is this the world that you decide that we're living in just to fit whatever you're trying to say by the end?
All right. So there you go. Your mileage may vary, but all 5 episodes are available on Netflix now.
Yes.
Okay, so check it out. Let's move on into cancellations and renewals.
What am I no longer watching?
All right, you're no longer watching Gotham Knights on CW. It has been canceled just after 1 season.
Womp womp.
Both the video game and the series didn't work this year. Sorry, Batman. The rest of these are
family.
Yeah. Also, Showtime announced that Billions' 7th season will be its final season. So
that is happening in August.
Meanwhile, a lot of renewals this week. Tomb Raider, before its premiere on Netflix, is already getting 2 seasons.
This is the animated Tomb Raider going to Netflix.
It'd be neat. All-American Homecoming on CW, one of the few CW shows getting renewed for a 3rd season, alongside with Superman and Lois getting a 4th season. Netflix will be bringing back Blood and Water for a 4th season. CBS has locked down Stephen Colbert for 2 more seasons at least of The Late Show up till 2026. So,
yes, I think next year was his contract, so just added 2 seasons to it.
Added 2 more seasons to it. Disney Plus is bringing back the Proud Family Louder and Prouder for its 3rd season. That's good news.
That's a good one.
Disney Plus has also, this is again before premiere, right?
Before the season 2 premiere, yes. Season 1 is already out.
Chippendale Park Life will get a 3rd season.
Yes.
Silo on Apple TV Plus, which Christy started watching, is getting 2 seasons.
Is that any good? They keep trying to advertise that to me.
She's enjoying it so far. She says it's neat.
Okay.
She tried to describe the premise to me, and she just said the word silo a lot.
Okay.
They're in a silo, is what I gather.
All right.
It's based on a book series I guess she was familiar with.
Oh.
So that's why she was interested. Netflix is also renewing something called Exo Kitty for a 2nd season.
I don't know what that is.
It's related to Hello Kitty.
Oh, no, it's like Hugs and Kisses Kitty.
Or you must be thrilled about this. Netflix is bringing back Physical 100 for the second season.
Woo!
More bodies.
All the physical bodies.
Max is bringing back Velma for a second season, despite its internet reaction.
Somehow.
And Adult Swim has confirmed that Jendy Tartakovsky's Primal, that adult animated series about the dinosaurs and cavemen, gets a third season.
Yes. If you don't know who Jendy Tartakovsky is, it's that Primal show on Adult Swim.
You'd recognize it if you saw it.
Yes.
Been a couple of deaths this week. None other than the Unabomber himself, Ted Kaczynski, died at age 81. You may know him from being a domestic terrorist. I don't think I need to tell you who the Unabomber was, but maybe if you're not that old, if you're under 20, maybe you don't know. So there you go. And then also this week, John Romita Sr., age 93, a famous comic book artist, mostly known for his Spider-Man work.
Yep, the runs on the Amazing Spider-Man, especially in the 70s, as well as the updated Captain America.
We have breaking news.
What?
I don't know if she's listening to us right now or what? But Chrissy just texted that she's watched the first episode of Exo Kitty.
Okay.
And she's going to wait for me to watch more because she thinks I would like it.
Oh,
so there you go. So
yes,
recommendation for whatever Exo Kitty is.
Okay.
That's going to be really funny when I tell later that we were just talking about it. But sorry, yes, I didn't mean to disrupt my obituary for John Romita Sr. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry. But yes, known for his work on Spider-Man and Captain America for Marvel Comics. Also co-creator of Wolverine for the X-Men.
Character of Wolverine. Not one of the original X-Men. I know that may be a shocker to some of you.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I saw a lot of comic people on Twitter talking about his effect specifically on the Spider-Man universe.
Yes.
He was largely the person who brought in kind of the romantic will they, won't they with him and the female characters, including Mary Jane and Gwen Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he had a background in romance comics and brought that kind of approach to dialogue into the Spider-Man universe. And that's why you had that in-depth romantic storyline more so than other superheroes would do it. And so he seemed like a legend in Spider-Man mythos. So he will be missed.
Yeah.
Let's move on to movies. And speaking of Spider-Man, Spider-Man moves down a notch at the box office this weekend, as is dethroned by Transformers: Rise of the Beasts.
But not by that much.
But not by much. Who is your number one movie with $61 million debut?
That is bad.
Not great. Didn't seem like they were marketing it that heavily anyways.
Yes.
It was destined kind of fart on launch. Meanwhile, Spider-Man moves down incrementally, as you said. Across the Spider-Verse made another $55 million this weekend, moving it up to $225 million domestic so far.
That's a hit. That's 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
2 weeks hit.
I might check that out today.
Yay!
The Little Mermaid is your number 3 with another $23 million. That's at $229. And number 4, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, still staying around with $7.2 million. That's at $335. And your number 5, The Boogeyman, with a $7.1 million, adding to $25 million.
Yep.
Upcoming this week, we have the triple release here. Pixar is back with Elemental, which is getting, I'd say, mixed reviews.
Yeah. People don't know what to make of this.
Yeah.
It's limited release this week, kind of wider release over the week.
I mean, I felt like what I said last week ended up being about how I was confused about what's the premise here. Mm-hmm. Seems to bear fruit with the reviews. It seems like people are confused. Is this a rom-com? Is this an action thing? They tried to have both, and it seems like it's a confused premise.
Okay.
So we'll see. Maybe we'll check that out in the next couple of weeks. Also out is that Jennifer Lawrence vehicle, No Hard Feelings.
Yes.
And Wes Anderson's Asteroid City.
It is Wes Anderson's Asteroid City.
So those are your 3, all 3 very different movies.
So my doctor has yet to see or doesn't know what that means by a Wes Anderson film.
Oh, but she'll find out if she sees that.
Well, we might watch some other stuff before, like Moonrise Kingdom or Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, either of those. I liked the last one, the French.
Oh, the French Dispatch.
The French Dispatch. I actually really liked it. I'm not a huge Wes Anderson person. That one worked for me.
I didn't watch that one.
Check it out.
I feel like I might start her off with Fantastic Mr. Fox
because that might be a good entry.
Because that's an animated adaptation and George Clooney.
And if you want to go classic, I'd recommend Rushmore.
Yes.
It's Chrissy's favorite of his movies. I hadn't seen it before she showed me. It's a good time. It was really early. He was still finding his legs, but I think that's the movie that pivots his creative zone, and you get to see like the origins of
Well,
it.
see, that's my only concern is that if I show like more recent ones, because it's an established style,
right?
It's like
no more to expect with the new one.
Well, not only that, but if you want to do it fresh, it's like, wait, this is just what he does. Like, yes, like I don't know if I need to like guide you into like the revolution that is Wes Anderson.
So there you go. Those are your new releases. Speaking of releases, our first movie story is about Disney's upcoming release schedule getting all shuffled up.
So, as we mentioned, writers are on strike. TGA is probably going on strike. SAG's on strike. They're trying to prevent their release schedules from being too mixed up in the next upcoming years.
They don't want to get compromised before stuff even comes out.
Yes.
So, the studio announced a slew of changes to their schedule on Tuesday in new chronologically release order. First, 2024 will see Deadpool 3, starring Ryan Reynolds, has been pushed up from November 8th to May 3rd. Captain America Brave New World, the next installment in that series with the new Captain America,
also the new title,
yes, has moved off that date and pushed back to July 26th. Another installment in the Alien franchise is now set for August 16th, and Marvel's Thunderbolts, remember that, gets bumped from summer to December, specifically the 20th.
So Thunderbolts is supposed to be the July 26th summer release.
Right, not anymore.
That's now in December.
2025, moving forward, will now start with Blade on February 14th, Valentine's Day with your vampire lovers.
I mean, they saw what happened with Ant-Man being a Valentine's release.
Out. Fantastic Four will now be May 2nd, and live-action Moana, which I had forgotten was happening, and I'm still mad about, is dated for June 27th.
Which seems pretty fast.
Seems really quick. Yeah, I guess that's the pipeline they have on those now.
Yes.
Avatar 3, which has already been partially filmed, has now been pushed back a year to December 2025.
Yes, it was supposed to be next year,
Not
December.
Happening next year.
It's now in 2 years.
It's not that the second one didn't do well. Believe me, it did. The plan for 2026, getting really ahead in the future here, is Avengers: The Kang Dynasty on May 1st, the first untitled Star Wars project on May 22nd, and a second untitled Star Wars project that December the 18th.
No idea what those are.
No one knows.
No one knows.
Mysteries.
I mean, we've talked about Star Wars projects.
There's a lot of balls in the air that we don't know which ones these are.
Yes, we don't know which one is going to be coming out first or which one's going to come out second.
Right.
There are several directors attached to direct them. We've talked about this before.
Different Star Wars movies.
But as for which one they want to put where, we don't know yet.
We don't know. And then Avengers: Secret Wars has then accordingly been pushed a year to 2027.
Yes, so you have Kang Dynasty in 26, Secret Wars in 27.
Yeah.
But even further out from there, you'll get Avatar 4
yes.
in 2029.
Uh-huh.
And then Avatar 5 in 2031.
2031 sounds like a year that does not exist and will never exist. I know it will.
Yes.
But it's just impossible to imagine right now. Just 2031. What will anything be in 2031?
In the world of 2031, Avatar 5 is released.
You'll go to the movie theater and you'll beg for water.
Well, technically, it'd probably be in December. So it'd be, because Avatar is always released in December.
Yeah.
It's a 2032 hit.
I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think
9 years out.
I'll be 41.
9 years out.
I'll be 41.
9 years out. Well, hey, and we'll still be doing this.
Somehow we will still be doing this podcast. All right, let's move on. God, I don't want to think about it. Andy Muschietti.
Don't know that name.
But you will now. Ahead of the release of his superhero movie, The Flash.
The one that's currently out right now.
Muschietti has decided to keep his feet firmly in the land of DC. He just finalized a deal to direct The Brave and the Bold, the feature project that will feature a new big screen version of Batman, one that will fit into the expansive universe being developed currently by DC Studios heads James Gunn and Peter Safran. In addition to a new Batman, Brave and the Bold will introduce Damian Wayne, a murderous tween raised by assassins who also happens to be the son Batman never knew he had. This is all comic book stuff that they're finally putting into a movie.
Yes.
It is unknown when a writer would be hired, given the current screenwriter strike. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Brave and the Bold, but at least this is now a project that has been announced, and I think some Batman people will be excited about this.
It is also the first time I think that having Damian Wayne in a feature film role,
right,
will be brought to the big screen.
Because we've seen Robins, but this is the first time we've seen this specific incarnation of a related character
in a live action role. He's been portrayed in several animated roles
as recently as the Harley Quinn show. I think has a Damian Wayne.
I want to say that's Damian Wayne too. Yeah,
I think that's the case. So it's been in other versions of the Batman media, but not in a movie yet. So there you go. Brave and the Bold also is a branding that has been used several times in video game releases and television cartoons.
Yep.
So this is just a version of that. Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's the next Batman.
It will be interesting to see where they go with the Batman because, as we just saw with the Flash, there's like 30 different Batman in there.
It almost sounds like they're moving into more of an ensemble thing for Batman, where it's going to be the Bat family, if you will,
right,
as opposed to just a movie about Batman. Mm-hmm. I think it's a good move, especially if you're trying to fill out a new universe.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see where this falls in line with the Batman with Robert Pattinson.
Oh yeah, he's still
that's still happening.
Is that still separate? Also, Joker still exists.
Yes.
And that second one's coming out
Joker, Deuce of Folly.
Yeah, I'm so confused by how all that stuff is going to matter. But we'll see.
Yeah. Anyways, that'll do it for us here.
That's it for movie news, which means that's a podcast, folks. Cool hour 35. So thanks for joining us. We don't have a fan question this week. But if you want to ask us a question anytime, email us at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. Send it in. We'll answer it here live on the air. In the meantime, we'll be back with another podcast next week. If you want to see it in video form, your best source is, of course, YouTube. Search youtube.com for Media Boat Podcast to find our channel. Like, subscribe, watch us live on Saturday mornings, and click the bell for notifications when we go live. You can also catch us playing video games occasionally on twitch.tv/MediaBoat. I played some Street Fighter V on Tuesday. You can watch that, I believe, in archive form still on our Twitch channel right now.
I'll probably
be back to streaming this week.
Yeah, I'll stream this week. I will also stream Final Fantasy 16, when it gets released this upcoming week. Yep. I might stream something on Monday because it's a holiday for some people.
For some people,
it
is true. I'll probably jump back into Rock Band for Rockin' Tuesdays again. There's a new Rivals Challenge up, so probably check that out. Otherwise, I've just been playing more Diablo 4, and I don't need to bore you with streaming that more. So look forward to that on twitch.tv/MediaBoat is where you can see those. We're also on social media platforms like Twitter @MediaBoatCast, Facebook MediaBoat Podcast. Search that, and you'll find our page. And then, and if you want to listen to the audio version of the podcast, that's available on podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. So check it out wherever you are. Search Media Boat Podcast, and you'll find us. So that'll do it. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back next week for even more news and thoughts and what have you.
More news, more thoughts, more of us. Like I said, more Final Fantasy next week.
Final Fantasy next week.
We'll get your thoughts probably on Spider-Man.
Yeah, on Spider-Man. I'll probably talk about that.
I might see Elemental or The Flash. I don't know.
We'll see.
But we'll see.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Bye.
Perfect.
We're out.
Perfect. Good
clap,
time.
clap, clap.
Clap, please clap.